Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. Uh, First of all, happy new year to you all, and thanks for supporting me until now. I was a little bit busy in my second book that I'm writing, and due to holidays, the video upload got delayed, so I could not upload any video in last 2 to 3 weeks time. Today I came with a video that will demonstrate how the SAC scripting will work. This is not very complex, or you don't need a lot of experience to understand this. This is for beginners, and if you already like my other content, then please subscribe to my channel to get regular updates. Let's start. So just to save time, I have already created a story in SSC. Um, so a few sample data that you can see in this table below in this page, where I have added sales order, company, GL, order type, category, currency, and amount. And this is very random data, not taken from anywhere. I've generated it myself. Now I have also added four widget here. The first two are drop down boxes, then we have a checkbox group, then we have a button, and I will tell you the functionality that I'm going to demonstrate. First of all, the first two drop down boxes would pick the unique values of companies and categories from this table, and based on the selection that I'm making in these two drop down boxes, it should filter out the data below, and then whatever GL account remains after applying that filter, that should come in the drop down boxes. And when I select some GL accounts from there, it should go and filter the table automatically. The reset button will reset all the values in these drop down boxes plus the value in the checkbox group, and it will reset all the filters that is already applied on the table. So how to perform these changes? First of all, the language that I'm going to use here is JavaScript, and the first two drop down boxes needs to be filled automatically when the page initialized, and then whenever I select a value from the company or the category, it should filter out the table below, and then the select GL will get populated automatically once company and category is selected, and that should fill all the GL accounts as part of the checkbox group. How to do this? First of all, the script has to be written based on different parameters in SSC. And I'm sorry, what I meant was different events in SSC, right? And how the events can be written is, first of all, you need to go to the left side panel. When you click on that, it will give you outline. Click on the outline and you will see what your page contains. So I've created page 1. What it contains is, you can ignore the text. These are the text: select company, select categories, and static text. You can ignore that. We have a button, we have a checkbox group, we have a drop down 1, 2. Then we have table 1, which is nothing but the sales order table. Then we have a table 2 and table 3. These two tables are made hidden because this is for intermediate calculation. So first of all, what will happen is you need to go to the page initialization event. You need to click on edit script for the page and go for on initialization event. When you click on the on initialization event, what will happen is, I'll show you what the code looks like. Now I will tell you why I've done this. So as I said earlier, that two drop-down boxes needs to be filled with values. Okay. So the first drop-down box is for company. In order to get the companies, you need to get the unique data for company. And that is where table 2 comes into picture. So I go to page 1. If I show you what the table 2 contains, this is hidden at the moment. Okay, let me remove the hidden flag. So table 2, this is coming with all the company's data. So this is another view another version of the same table, but here I have not used all these drop downs, all these dimensions. I have used only company dimensions so that I get the unique value of company. Okay, and table 3 similarly is showing the category values, the unique values of categories from the same table. Okay, but user doesn't need to see this at runtime, so I'll make it hide. Okay, now I'll go to the on-initialization event again. Okay, so now the table 2 contains, as I showed you earlier, table 2 contains the value of company in a tabular format. Okay, now in order to get all the values written to the drop down box, the syntax that I need to use is add item, and that add item needs to be combined with the name of the drop down. Here the drop down name is drop down underscore one, the same name I have used. Dot add item will allow you to add item to the drop down. Now in JavaScript here everything is based on array, and to reach the array element you need to use a syntax like this. In the third bracket, then I is the element number. Now we don't know at dynamically how many companies, how many unique companies are there in the table. So how we can do that? There is something called a function called length, which will give you the number of elements in that array. And this COMP is nothing but the value of table 2. Now when you say value of table 2, which means all the elements included, but they are included in an array. Okay, and how I can refer to that array element is by using the element number plus the name of the dimension. The name of the dimension is company, and dot id means it is the um, uh, id of that value. So each value comes with the id and a description. So if you're familiar with let's say BW reporting, in BW reporting there is something called display by key or display by text. So this is nothing but the key value. Here I have not included any text. As you can see from here, everything is key. So for example, company CC08 doesn't have any text, okay, or a description. So in that case, it will always have to be referred as dot id. Okay, and now let me show you something. If I remove id here, if I put control and space, I will get all these different property of that dimension. So description is not there. If I select description, it will not give you anything because there is no description added. I will only have to select ID. Now this has to be looped over because all the elements needs to be added to the drop-down box. Now how to do that is I have created one variable called I, and I have started with a for loop with 0 less than the length of the array, which is in my case, let's say there are 7 to 8 companies. So this will become 8. So I equals to 0, I less than 8, I plus plus. That will run the loop for 8 times. Or you can possibly do I equals to 1, I less than equals to comp dot length, I plus plus, which will yield you, the same number of data. Now here it will add all the items to the company dropdown. Okay. In a similar note, if I get into table 3, I will get the values for category. So you see that I have just copied pasted the same code. I've used table 3, I've used a separate variable, and I have used the separate name of the field. So when the page initialized, at that time, those two drop-down boxes are already filled. Now that's number one. Now your drop-down boxes are filled. Now that means when you click it, you will see all the data in the drop-down. Now, when you select one of them, what will happen? And where should we write that code? So now you have to go to the individual drop-downs and you need to open the on select event of the drop-down. On select means after you have selected your entry from the drop down list. Now here, if you see how to get what is selected. If it is a drop down, there is a function called get selected key that has to followed by the drop down name. Okay. Now here this variable selection will give you the ID of the value which is selected from the drop down list. Then there is a function called set dimension filter which should be applied on table underscore one that will allow you to filter on any dimension on that table. Here the dimension name is company and selection is nothing but what you have got from the drop down box. You pass the value here, then it will automatically filter table underscore one. Here, this I'll cover at a later stage. So this application dot show busy indicator, this will give you the busy indicator along with the message that you're sending. Okay. In a similar way, you need to write it for drop down 2 as well. So this is drop down 2, same way, right? And here, what you do is additionally, you're applying the filter on table 1 based on category. Additionally, what you're doing is you're filling the checkbox. Okay, that is not coming as pre-filled. You're filling the checkbox only when table 1 is filtered on all the data, on both on the company which is coming from top down 1 and the category which is coming from top down 2. Now you see that here I'm using this table 1 and get result set, which means that tab will now contain the value of table 1 after all the filtration is made. Now similar way, I'm running a loop and updating the checkbox group. Here the checkbox group should update the value of GL from tab, which is nothing but my table 1. Table 1 is my base table here. Okay. So now your GL also is filled. Okay, that means your checkbox group. Now, what happens when you select some of them? To apply that logic, you have to go to the on select event of checkbox group. It is also similar. You have to use a get selected keys function to understand what are the values selected. Now, the difference between a drop down and a checkbox is the selection can be multiple, which is why it is get selected keys. But if you go to the drop down, it is get selected key, which is a single value. Okay. Now you need to be a little bit careful on the case that you're using. SSC is sensitive on the case which you see here. This S is in capital letter, the K is in capital letter, the rest is in small letters. And this is purposefully written. This is not a mistake. Okay. And then you apply the filter on table 1 by using set dimension filter, giving the name of the dimension and the selection. Okay. Now this is pretty much it. And then the reset button, you need to go to the button and there is an event called on click. When you click on that button, what will happen is, first of all, this is for resetting all your additional filter values, the drop down list and everything. So removing from the drop down list, there is a function called remove all items, which will remove the existing items in the drop down. Same for the checkbox group, and then you need to remove all the filters that you have applied through the by selecting the drop down and the checkbox. The same thing is added here. There is something called remove dimension filter. It will go and remove all the filters made on that specific dimension. Now, why I have written this code again? Because my drop down 1 and drop down 2 will never get the values again after I press on these buttons. The reason because the code is written in the initialization page. If you see, this is the same code where drop down 1 and 2 are filled. Now, when you remove, in that button, when you remove all items from drop down 1 and drop down 2, then what remains is only these three codes, okay, on select events. But on select events, only take the value from the drop down and passes as a filter into the table. It will never initialize the drop down box with a list of items. That is then the on-initialization event. And this event will only get triggered when the entire page is refreshed. Okay. So which is why this button need to have the initialized code that is there in the initialization event, so that my drop down 1 and drop down 2 will get the required entries. And then there is a success message called application message type dot success, and the message is page initialized. So this is my entire content, and let me show you how the output looks like. Okay, let me go to, let me save this first, and let me go to the view mode. Page is getting saved. It is saved now. You can go to the view mode of the story, and so when you click on the view mode, basically what happens is the page initialized for the first time. And when it is getting initialized, first thing which will happen is that your tables will get populated and your own initialization event will get triggered. Whatever code is written under the on initialization event, that will get executed one by one. Now here, if you see, the page has loaded and you can see the table content here. And by this time, because the on initialization event has already run, when I click on the company or the category, it will show you the list of companies. Unique companies populated through script of the initialization event. And if I see categories, these are the unique categories that is coming from the table directly. Now let me select something. See, the select GL is blank because nothing is selected here. Let me select company as CC01, for example, and you'll see the table is filtered by CC01. Now you select the category, let's say as D005. Now your table will get filtered by D005 and the GL account will get populated. Now if you see the tables, there are two filters already. If you click on the filters, you will see company CC01 and category D005 applied already. And you see all the D005 data for CC01 company, and the GL account that are there is there in the list here. Okay, now let me select one or two from here. Let's I'm selecting these two, and my page is getting filtered. The performance issue is coming because I have used other applications here. I'm using Zoom. I'm sharing my screen, and the performance is getting deteriorated. It's not the case always. Now you see the GL accounts have populated here and the list is filtered. If you see click filter, you will see the GLs are also filtered here based on what you have chosen. And now let me reset it. So if I click on reset, all the filters are gone now. Page is initialized, and only if you see the list is there, but it is not filtered by anything. So this is it. I hope you have liked my video. I will try to post more content in future. Please subscribe to my channel, and have a nice day. Thank you very much.